All right, man. Welcome back to the chat. Let's talk this boxing this fine morning. Hope everything is well with you guys. We're going to switch the topic off of the cheating that we've been talking about for the last couple of days, man, and maybe talk about the Deontay Wilder fight or whatever you guys want to talk about this morning. I am absolutely open as long as it's boxing, and even if it's not boxing, man, let's chop it up. Adrian Venn in the building, man. What's good with you? I hope that you're doing well. Always pleasant to see you first thing in the morning. Viva to Vita, what's going on, man? Hope all is well with you. It says, salute, Martin, good morning. Ready for this boxing conversation like always. Yeah, man, we're going to keep it doing it, man. Oh, so RIP to KMG from Above the Law, Pomona, California. We miss you, big homie. Wilder over Fury. Can you hear me better? Let me know if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me? 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 Oh, you said it's your bad? Okay, I thought I had the volume up. You know, I mess up the volume a lot, but I thought I had gotten the volume. Thought that for the first time, you know, in a while, I got my volume right and had it up before the thing started, man. What's going on, Big Block in the building? What's happening, man? Ricky Wells, what's going on in this vacation? This is a holiday morning, and it's Labor Day, right? Yeah, man. Labor Day, and we laboring, still talking about boxing on Labor Day. I hope that you guys out there, what you guys going to, hey man, put in the chat what you guys going to do for your Labor Day. Are you guys going to are you guys going to treat it like just a regular day, or are you guys going to go out and do something, man? Let me know what you guys are going to do in the Labor Day. But happy Labor Day to everybody. Ricky Wells in the building said, good morning, Fannon, and everybody in the chat. Yes, sir. Vladimir's dad said, Fannon the Don, good morning. Yep. Hey, so look, on this video, look, man, I need you guys to put your questions in the comment section, man, and let's talk about it. It can be old school boxing. It could be new school boxing. Doesn't matter. I can cover it pretty well, all of it. But, you know, just to keep the conversation going. But the thing that really got me going this morning, man, I was watching Deontay Wilder. Some things that were actually on Twitter about Deontay Wilder, where he was in the fight where he's wiping his eyes, going into the first round of the fight. And you just like how his eyes looked all swollen and puffy, and he just didn't look right. You know, I had never really looked at that before. Because I really try to stay away from like controversies in boxing because it makes me upset that there's all this stuff that goes on, man. But when I looked at it, I was like, you know what, man? That guy's eyes he really does look like something is bothering him in that fight, man. You know what I mean? TJ Boxing and Sports said, resting. You're resting today? That's what's up, man. I wish I could. This is kind of like a rest to me. Especially when you guys ask questions, it really does feel like I'm resting and having a good time, man. Say good morning. Did you watch PBC? No, I didn't watch the PBC fights last night. I did not get to see them, man. I think I got them recorded though, so I'm gonna probably go back and watch them today. But nah, I didn't get a chance to watch them, man. That's my bad. KJ Scribner said, good morning, Martin Fannon in the chat. Just driving the three train through Harlem and Brooklyn. Oh, that's what's up, man. That's what's good, man. So you doing that this morning, and so you're working on the holiday. Steve Williams said, Fannon, imagine a blowback. Valdez truly hurts the kid. If he truly hurts the kid that he's fighting. Well, you know that's the risk that they're taking, man. You know what I mean? When you decide to let people do that and you play games like that, that's the side of it where they didn't think, you know, let's err on the side of caution. When you put somebody in there and you know that he's under some type of performance enhancing drug and you still let the guy fight, man, you know, it's going to be on them if something happens in that fight, you know, but there's always risk of it, and they'll just justify that, you know, he wasn't on performance enhancing drugs. We found that he took that months ago, and that's just, you know, that's all it was. So I don't think that I don't really think the people that are truly responsible for it would care. Because if they would have cared, if they are the type of people to care about something like that, then they probably would have just off the cuff said something about it. But, you know, it is what it is, man. Ricky Wells said, when he took the mask off, I seen his eyes didn't look right. He started wiping them immediately. Yeah, I mean, you know, that is just some real Tyson Fury it's just disappointing, man. What a scumbag. I mean, that's the only thing I can say about Tyson Fury and the people that support him. But I will say, man, I saw a guy that was actually honest about about a guy that was actually honest about the Oscar Valdez situation. And he said, boxing is about race. I'm riding with my people and I don't care if he cheats. I was like, thank you for saying that, man. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the honesty, but having you guys run around trying to justify the stuff is like, it's ridiculous. Just say the truth. You don't care if he cheated. Tyson Fury cheated. Your guy won. You're happy with it. It doesn't make you a difference whether or not somebody gets hurt. Doesn't matter. Your guy cheated, so you're okay with that. And that's the truth of the matter. If you shouldn't, hey, my guy didn't get caught. He must have been smarter than your guy. You know what I mean? So that's what they do. That's how boxing winds up in the situation that it's in, man. You know? Fever 2 Vita said, F Tyson Fury, F Oscar Valdez and all those drug cheats. Yeah, I wish you could, man. I wish you could just get them all out of there, man. D Brown says, sup, all Martin, do you believe that a fight between KO in theory and Deontay Wilder will happen? You must be between Fury and Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder will happen on October 9th. I do believe that it's going to happen. Absolutely. I think it's going to happen. I have a hard time believing that they're going to pass up, that fight's going to, but then again, nothing would surprise me, man. Especially this year where fights getting getting canceled left and right. I wouldn't doubt it at all, but it's already been canceled twice by Tyson Fury. So, I guess third time could be a charm with Tyson Fury. You never know. But I don't think so. I wouldn't bet on it happening because, it's just too much. You would think that there's too much riding on it. But really, with Tyson Fury, anything's possible. The guy to cheat like that in that fight is just, and it's almost like the only thing I can talk about with Tyson Fury is just being stunned that they would go to that length to win a fight, to poison in a guy's water. Or whatever happened to actually get him to feel, the way that he was feeling. What's going on, Ali Voso? See you in the building. What's happening with you this fine morning, man? We gonna have to we got a slow non-work day going on. A whole bunch of people in bed. I wish I could have stayed in bed this morning, but get up to talk this boxing and have a good time doing it. True, Johnny True Blue Stanley. What's up, man? I'm chilling, man. Just here waiting for boxing questions so we can get the conversation going. Oscar Valdez and all that stuff. I'm starting to but see, I guess I shouldn't get tired of talking about Oscar Valdez and and talking about the cheating that goes on in boxing. Maybe I should have everlasting energy for that. But it's almost like, how much more can you say about it? Ricky Thompson said WBC should be stripped of their license to operate. Should be, but the American Council, but the people that would be the one that would be stripping them supported the decision to let the guy fight. So, it goes beyond the WBC, the WBA, the IBF, and the WBO, and it goes in the United States and it goes into the ABC. But, they had a flimsy reason to do so because WADA said it's an out of competition. That it's okay to use out of competition. So if it's okay to use out of competition and he used it out of competition, you can't punish him for it. He found, they obviously, Oscar Valdez had somebody that knew what drug to take and what drugs to take, and when to take them so that he wouldn't get popped dirty. But unfortunately for him, everybody knows that you're dirty now, man. Ali Voso said, how much longer you think Top Rank's going to be around? I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm telling you, I think those guys I think that they are treading water, man. It's a lot. I think this year has been really hard on boxing, man. Really hard. Like this pandemic has been really hard on boxing, but they don't have a lot of shows. They're pretty much relying upon ESPN. So I hope, honestly though, man, I hope that they're in business I hope that they change the way that they do business, but I don't want to see Top Rank out of business, man, because, I was really behind, when HBO left boxing, I was glad, but then there came the Zone right behind them, so it was like, yeah, there was no, what do you call it? HBO, and I didn't have to listen to Jim Lampley. I didn't have to listen to Larry Merchant, and I don't miss that at all. Trust me, I don't miss that. However, I'm not in it, but what came after it, dude, isn't any better. I think HBO is better than the combination of ESPN and DAZN. Those guys don't put on any good fights, or any big fights. HBO at least would put on big fights. They would have their pay-per-view, and then after that, they would show you a big fight. HBO made big fights. These guys don't make big. ESPN it doesn't make big fights. I don't know why they don't make big fights, but they just don't make it, man. Regular boxing regular fan JG said, "Will Ortiz and Ennis be a mega fight? I will pay to watch it since big fights not happening." Thoughts? Yeah, I think if everything in boxing was real, if everything in boxing was legitimate, that would be a very big fight, because those are the best two young fighters, at least the ones that I've seen, the best two big fights at welterweight that I've seen. So, I would think that would be a big fight, but the one guy is with Golden Boy, the other one's fights with the PBC. Oscar De La Hoya doesn't get along with Al Heyman. They don't do good business together. So more than likely, that the very, very big fight, may not happen, man, just because of the way that the promoters are set up. Which is unfortunate, but I would definitely pay for that fight. I would pay for honestly, man, I would pay for a lot of really good fights. I would pay for I'd pay for Terrence Crawford versus Sean Porter. I would pay for any Terrence Crawford fight against a serious competitor. At this point in time, I would fight it. You know what I mean? Ali Voso said, too much Instagramming, not enough boxing. Man, that's them damn lightweights. Honestly, man, I wish they would shut up. The whole lightweight division. Honestly, dude, Lomachenko's the only one that does not really engage in that. But man, ain't no way, man. Those guys, that's all they're doing. And then when one wants to fight the other one says you're irrelevant. For Riley Romero to call Devin Haney irrelevant? Are you kidding me? You know what I'm saying? What makes you relevant? But, it is what it is, man. These guys, they just do, they're going to say what they got to say. They're going to do what they got to do to get the paychecks. And right now, the networks are split. The promoters are split. And it's very hard to get anybody to actually fight anybody that's worth a damn, which is why I like the PBC. The PBC is not perfect, but the PBC will actually give you fights. You know what I mean? They actually will give you fights. They will work with somebody else, another promoter, to get you a fight, and they actually will sometimes put their fighters in against each other, man. The only person that I think in the PBC that is the exception to that rule is Mayweather Promotions and Gervonta Davis, because Gervonta Davis really ain't fighting nobody, man. That's just real. You know what I mean? It's just real. Brooklyn Posse said, does Cheater Valdez have to give his last opponent an immediate rematch? No, absolutely not, man. He does not have to do that. He won't do that. And it's a shame. It's a shame. But like I said, at least people are starting to be honest. They just don't care, man. Adderwild M, man, what's going on, man? I ain't seen you in a minute, man. Get to see you on a thin day, man. Thin day where people are in the bed and on their having their Labor Day late snooze. Get a grip. Wilder has no edge over Fury. Yeah, he does. He's got the edge of knowing that he didn't cheat and trying to make stuff right. And honestly, I think he's a more talented fighter, and he'll have the ability to make an adjustment. I think that he does have the edge over Tyson Fury coming into the fight. That's what I've seen. At least from his training, and he's not making excuses and lying about catching COVID. You know what I mean? At least he's not doing that. Unlike Tyson Fury. Sha'Carri Richardson got suspended from the Olympics for weed, but these guys get away with PEDs in their system and allowing them to compete. Yep, that's pro boxing. Jeff Jones, I'm just upset at them ignoring Wilder's evidence and pushing an opposite narrative. Can't help but look at it negative. But at least with Oscar Valdez now, that bit pretty much validates Deontay Wilder, because if they're willing to overlook that type of cheating, then they're willing willing to overlook any type of cheating. And that's what they've done. They've overlooked cheating again. Right? So you can't say that the powers that be, there's no cheating in boxing when you know a guy will cheat and they'll just let you get away with it. You know? Ricky Williams, I'm sorry, that's from Terry Schmoot, man. What's this? What do you keep saying? Switching lanes. I don't get that. Huh? The F? What are you talking about, man? You keep leaving these messages, and I don't have any clue what you're talking about, Holmes. I love families. Okay, you're out of here, dog. You're just leaving stupid shit. So goodbye. It was nice knowing you, though. You know, thanks for stopping by, homie. That was nice, man. Ron Miller said, I agree. Tank isn't fighting anyone. That's a true threat to him. But Teofimo Lopez isn't fighting at all. He's the biggest duck next to Ryan Garcia, in my view. Man, Gallimore, man, thank you so much for Danny Gallimore. It's the top of the morning, Brother Martin. Thank you, man. Opportunity to ring the gong, man. Thank you for contributing to the channel, man. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. But back to Ron Miller. Yeah, Tank, and he's not gonna fight anybody, and it's so readily apparent. Honestly, man, I do think somebody might have to go out of business in order for boxing to change. It's because something has to happen, man, because nobody's doing anything right now. You even have like Teofimo Lopez saying that he's not going to do the Vasily Lomachenko rematch. If he doesn't do the Vasily Lomachenko rematch, what other real fight is there for him that with guys that are at top rank for Teofimo Lopez? Right? Teofimo Lopez is not going to fight Devin Haney. He's not going to fight Ryan Garcia. He's not going to fight Vasily Lomachenko. It's like he just, and he's outwardly just saying he's not going to fight him to boot. So they're not even hiding it. They're just out there flat out telling people that they're not going to make these fights. Floyd Mayweather Jr. said it. Just was like, no, we like in-house fights. But you don't have anybody in your house for him to fight. So who are you going to fight? And I just like in-house fights. Adewale M said, did you see Conor Benn versus Granado? How ready is he? I think he's talented, for sure. I think he's talented. So I think that there's a chance that he may be ready, man, soon. But I think he's good. I mean, Adrian Granados was a good step. Adrian Granados is not an easy fighter. He's not an easy fighter to beat. And he had Adrian Granados fighting real out of character in that fight. So, I mean, his power was there. I think that he may need to I think he needs to learn how to cut off the ring and obviously, improve as a fighter. But I liked him, man. And honestly, man, I wish him the best, man. He seems like a decent dude, Terry Schmoot said, "True. Tank should have fought Gary Russell and should fight Devin." Yeah, but but hold on, man. His fans protect him. His fans protect him. When I said he should have fought, I got a bunch of pushback when I said he should have fought Chris Colbert because Chris Colbert was the number one contender in the WBA for his 130-pound title. And it was a sacrilege or something to say Gervonta Davis should fight him. And as soon as you say that Gervonta Davis should fight him, his more avid fans come out and say he's trying to make his money. He's trying to get his money. Like, are you a fan of his rings and watches or something? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can see a picture of those rings and watches in a bunch of different magazines. You don't have to see him on Gervonta Davis's body to appreciate the beauty of diamonds. If that's what you're into. Right? Like, I personally could care less how much money I could care less, as long as they're getting paid fairly, I could get paid. I'm not going to sit up there and make an argument and say, I don't want to see a good fight because Gervonta Davis can make more money fighting somebody that's worse. But people make that argument all the time. They'd say, well, yeah, that fight ain't going to happen. That fight can't happen. He don't make enough money. Will you get Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s tongue out of your ear? You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't nothing but Floyd Mayweather Jr. sweet talking you, trying to convince you that boxing is about something it's not about, right? Like, when he said he was going to sell the lifestyle, like, that's when he became Money Mayweather. He's going to sell the lifestyle. He started selling the lifestyle and people started believing that stuff. Like, man, back, like, fighters are not, I mean, that's not what it's supposed to be about. It's like who's going to make the most money, what fighter's going to make the most money, and that's what I'm into it for. Like, man, come on, man. It just sounds ridiculous to me, you know? Ayanda Milambo said Anthony Joshua versus Usyk are fighting this month, less than 20 days from now. Why is there no hype on that fight whatsoever? Man, because there's no hype on anything right now. Honestly, boxing doesn't feel like there's any hype on anything. This is the most low energy that boxing has been in as far as I can remember. There's not a lot of energy for the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight. There's not a lot of energy for the Sean Porter fight. There's not a lot of energy for the Canelo Alvarez Caleb Plant fight. There's just not a lot of there's not a lot of energy for any fights, man, that I've seen. You know, that's what I've seen, that there hasn't been any energy for anybody. You mean, am I missing something? Is there some fight that people are really amped up for? I saw some energy. I saw some energy for the Errol Spence Jr. For Errol Spence Jr. Manny Pacquiao a little bit, but not nearly the energy that you would expect. I mean, honestly, man, it's like, unless these guys in boxing really start making fights that are interesting, it's really going to be tough on them, and nobody wants to do it. And there's a whole bunch of matchups that can be made, there's a whole bunch of matchups that can be made, but they're just not interested in making the fights for one reason or the other. And the answer is always money. It's always, there's not enough money in for this fight. There's not enough money in it for that fight. Even with the fight between Caleb Plant and Canelo Alvarez, Bob Arum was out there saying, hey, man, there's not enough money. There's just not enough money for the fight. Doesn't seem like there's enough money for the fight. They're taking a really big chance on the fight. And, maybe it's the pandemic and all of that stuff really doing it, But whatever the case is, it just doesn't seem like there's a lot of energy for anything in boxing. There's no, because the biggest fights that you can say that can be made aren't going to get made. Like Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua didn't get made. Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua is more than likely not going to get made. Deontay Wilder beats Tyson Fury. More than likely, Eddie Hearn's not going to make the Anthony Joshua fight. You've got Canelo Alvarez fighting nobody. I mean, seriously, Caleb Plant. I mean, Canelo Alvarez is fighting absolutely nobody, and he hasn't fought anybody in a long time. It's been 3 years since he's had a fight that anybody was really interested in. But people keep talking about how he's the biggest star and he's this and he's that and the other thing. But seriously, man, the guy he has not had a fight since Gennady Golovkin that's been a big fight. Every other fight has been about him getting paid. And people celebrate the fact about, just celebrate how much money he's making as if that's going to somehow make boxing better. And I don't think it does, man. You know what I mean? Ron Miller said, don't forget people fought over a decade and the best of the best before he started being select. Don't forget Floyd fought. Yeah, but I got to forget that because it's years ago. That's 2000s. You know what I mean? That's the 1990s. I'm not going to forget about, oh, no, I know what you're saying. People forget that he fought the best before he started doing that. Yeah, but right now, everybody's trying to make themselves kind of follow the Mayweather blueprint and become a star on the internet instead of becoming a star by beating people, man. The only guy that I can say right now that is legitimately fighting people is Errol Spence Jr. He's the guy that is really out there trying to fight and where if there's a big fight that he's actually trying to make the fight. Everybody else is playing games. Even Keith Thurman. I listen to Keith Thurman, man, and Keith Thurman sits there talking about he's backing, but he won't fight nobody. It's like Keith Thurman is sitting there I'm waiting for the big championship fight. But other than that, he's not fighting anybody. If you ask Keith Thurman, well, would you fight Jaron Ennis? The answer is going to be no. No, I wouldn't fight Jaron Ennis. Would you fight Virgil Ortiz? No. Would you fight Josh Taylor? Probably not. The only fights that they seem like they want to have are the big marquee fights, but there are no big marquee fights because nobody's working their way to the marquee. Everybody's standing in there, and a lot of people ain't even doing the social media stuff. I mean, at least in the lightweight division, at least they're bumping their lips and giving somebody something, maybe somebody something to think about. But, for the most part, man, it's just a lot of nothing. And a lot of fights. Now there are a lot of fights that go on, but they're fights that are not good. They're not big fights, man. Like, we might if we got a big fight coming up with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, and even that, man, is so tainted with nonsense that, we'll see. And then people will start talking about, well, how many pay-per-view did it do? And instead of like, was it actually a good fight? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Is it a good fight? Was there a fair fight? Was there a good fight? But, honestly, man, I love boxing a lot, and it is a very, very good sport and very, very enjoyable to watch, man, when it is evenly matched fighters or interesting fights. But, it's like you can be the biggest fight fan in the world, but if all you're getting is B and C level fights, how excited can you really get, man? To Brian Castano versus Jermell Charlo was a really, really good fight, man. It was a very, very good fight, and I think still it was one of the better fights of the year, man. C Cuts in the bill said Thurman already turned down Jaron Ennis and 14 other boxers. Yeah, so it's like, come on, man, go wait. But I don't know, man. Maybe it goes in ebbs and flows, man, because last year I thought we had a pretty decent year of boxing, and because the PBC was making good fights. This year, not even the PBC are really putting up good fights, man. Not even the PBC. And I thought the PBC was really doing a good job. Exactly, man. Like Demetrius Andrade over there at DAZN. Man, will you put Demetrius Andrade, please, over there with the PBC and have him fight these guys? You know what I'm saying? Have him fight Jermall Charlo, but then Jermall Charlo won't fight him. You know what I mean? Like Jermall Charlo won't fight him. Or Jermall Charlo won't fight him. Bearcat Hampton said Ennis and Ortiz need to climb the ladder. Yet, how about Ennis versus Ortiz or Danny Garcia or Josesito Lopez first? Thurman is calling for Spencer Ugas, and he should get him. He's not going to get him, though, for a while. Spence is fighting. Spence is not going to fight. Spence, they're trying to wrap the titles up. So Spence more than likely is going to fight Ugas next. You got Keith Thurman. You got the fight supposed to take place between Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter. So where is there for Keith Thurman just to do nothing? Keith Thurman's just not going to do anything until that point in time, But it is what it is, man. You guys, people want to support that. People want to support that. I'm kind of tired of it, honestly, man. Maybe it's because I'm not taking my morning off, for Labor Day and still laboring on Labor Day. That's got me in a bad mood. But really, man, I'm just around the internet looking up boxing, thinking about boxing. And the biggest news that there is in boxing right now is the WBC cheating. And I mean, just blatantly cheating, man. It's disgusting. Like, can we have some type of integrity to it? Slap said Mayweather versus Japan Blonde rematch. Yeah, that is. And stealing the thunder, dude. What's going on? Terrell Boxing in there, man. What's going on, Terrell? How you feeling this morning, man? Hope all is well with you. I can't say that one. Or Jake Paul. Yeah, I mean, say you broke that ish down, Fannon. I mean, it is what it is, man. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say that name out loud though. And I don't know why you'd want to do. What did they do to you for you to have so much hostility towards them? I don't get it. Anyway, you know how it goes, man. Slab said, "Oh, Ish, you read my message." Yeah, man, I read messages. That's what we do, man. He said, and they say Jake Paul is the worst thing when you have this BS with WBC and Fury. Hey, man, honestly, that is trash boxing. Like, it's just trash. Like, it's trash, man. It's trash. I don't care how you wrap that up. That was $55 bag of trash. It really was. It was a $55 bag of trash. That was not, at least the At least the featured matchup was. It's like, man, I'm not paying $55 for a bar fight. You know, I mean, I may watch the bar fight on it's. That's the fight that should be on Instagram or something. You know what I mean? Said they're all trash for none. Hey, man, there's been a lot of trash fights, man. ESPN is trash fight after trash fight after trash fight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just fight. Like, who is this? Let me go to the box rec and figure out who this guy is, and then get in the ring. And they're not. And there's nothing there. And the fighters aren't that good. Oh, said, how about Patrick English in the ABC? Exactly. How are you gonna? You're talking about the guy who's lawyer? Is that the lawyer that works for the ABC defending somebody that works for the ABC defending Oscar Valdez to the ABC? Yeah, and they let that fight go. But hey, man, it's a fight. You know what I mean? At least that. Hey, at least it's a fight. There'll be a fight. You know what I mean? And Top Rank won't lose their money. In a way, should kill Casemiro in the ring. Oh, he probably will. Yeah, that's what you're talking about, Fahim. Yep. He said the Ali that fought Trevor Berbick would have killed Jake Paul. I mean, Jake Paul's just not a fighter, man. Jake Paul's just not a fighter. And honestly, man, I don't care about him. And it's tough for me to care. I mean, I want to do videos about if it was truly interesting. But it just seems like a bunch of juvenile yippee yap to me. And maybe I just now know that maybe I'm just getting old, man. You know what I'm saying? Man, much love in that super chat, man. I appreciate that support, man. He said, good morning. I'm doing great. I'm in on Midland on vacay, most done down here. I'm still happy for Wilder. Fury going to sleep, period. Yes, sir, man. Much love in that super chat. Thank you for supporting, man. Josh Taylor's roasting Valdez. Dude, all bunch of boxers are, man. Above everything, boxers should be upset. Especially if they're clean. If they're in any way, shape, or form clean, they should be absolutely irate, man. And yeah, dude, it's favoritism from the WBC to Mexican fighters. That's how I see it. It's favoritism from a Mexican organization to Mexican fighters. And because there's no way they would do that there's no way. Come on, man. Like, there's no way they're doing that for Errol Spence. There's no way that they're doing that. The Deontay Wilder test positive for steroids. Come on, man. They would get rid of him just off the backlash. Like, oh no, we can't do that. There's too much back. Oh, they're gonna let Deontay Wilder fight on performance enhancing drugs. But Oscar bum-ass Valdez, nothing special about him ass Valdez, gets up in there with steroids and they're 100% cool with it. Like, just get out of here, man. But it is what it is. Adrian Vince said even Andre Ward and Tim Bradley lost it. Yeah, because see what they did is they went by the letter of the law and not the spirit of the law. These guys are out there really risking their lives and really doing and to know a guy has to get in there. It's bad enough to know that, you know, the guy, to know that there's guys on steroids, but you not know specifically the guy that you're fighting is on steroids, but then to throw him in the ring, man, come on, man. You guys just ruin your reputation. The WBC just doesn't care about their reputation at all because they continually do stuff like that, man. Continually do it. Ron Miller said they should let Gerald Miller fight too then. Exactly. Terrell Boxing again, he said, brother, we know race matters, period. Man, it does for the WBC. It does for the WBC without a doubt. You cannot tell me that that's not because that cat. You cannot tell me that they would do that for somebody like Chris Colbert. That they would allow that. But the thing to me is just, man, if you're going to have VADA rules, then use VADA rules. You know what I mean? Slap said Deontay Wilder, the most dangerous fighter in the history of boxing. One of the more dangerous, that's for sure, man. But see, the boxing keeps coming back to this cheating. Like, the conversation keeps coming back around to this cheating. And honestly, man, it's depressing, man. It's depressing, and I don't need depression in my life right now. It's already hard enough. You know what I'm saying? That one hurt, man. Because honestly, behind everything, I don't want to think that the WBC is full of scumbags. Because it's like now you have no hope. You know what I mean? Once the ABC gets into it and the WBC gets into it, then you start feeling like they've given up. We do need a PBC belt. Yeah, I mean, provided Floyd Mayweather Jr. doesn't get his hands on it and start and bedazzle it, and then all of a sudden and then start doing all of this nonsense he's doing with Gervonta Davis, man. Seriously, Floyd Mayweather's on my nerves too with Gervonta Davis. Because Gervonta Davis is the best fighter down there, man. Let the guy push to let this guy fight these guys, man. And stop putting on these shams. I mean, for real, it's a sham. Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Mayweather Promotions is into shams. Because that's what they're doing. He's a better fighter than that, man. He can fight Teofimo Lopez or Devin Haney or these guys and beat them, but they don't have the interest in making the fight. And if they make this Riley Romero fight, dude, that is one step away. Honestly, that's one step away from the Jake Paul fight, in my opinion. Because that's what Riley Romero's imitating. He's imitating Jake Paul. He's not that good a fighter, man. You can just look at Riley Romero and say, man, Riley Romero is not a good fighter. So I mean, he is. They're into shams. It's a sham. Like, the two biggest shams in boxing right now. Well, I'm not going to say a bigger sham. See, you guys are going to get me going in, man. I don't want to go in. I want to keep my head level. But at the same time, man, Canelo Alvarez for the last 3 years has been nothing but a sham. He has not fought anybody that has had halfway decent chance of beating him. And they've been selling him as being like, they always come up with some new thing that he's doing, that makes it to make it look like he's something special. It's always something like, oh, I'm the first guy to make a division. It's like a clickbait headline. It's like that's exactly what it's been. Canelo Alvarez for the last 3 years has been clickbait fights. Oh, he's fighting the great Sergey Kovalev. Even though Sergey Kovalev got knocked out in 2 of his last 5 fights, is widely known to be an alcoholic and on the downside of his career. This is some super mega fight that equals Canelo Alvarez to Henry Armstrong. Do you remember that? It was like, are you serious? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you serious? He's not a good fighter. He's not there. That is not a fight to see in the boxing ring, dude. How about you start making fights where somebody actually wants to see the guy that's fight somebody that's good. Then you hear when somebody mentions somebody like Jermall Charlo, there's a bunch of conversation that goes on about why the fight can't happen. You know what I mean? Wow, no. Who is he beating? He doesn't work for your clickbait. He doesn't work for the clickbait. It's not. That's actually a good fight, but you need something so that you can sell it. Oh, that's not sellable. We can't sell it. No, man. The guy has a chance to lose, and you don't know that he's going to go on to the next fight. The guy got signed for an 8-fight deal, and you're going to make it through 8 fights by fighting a bunch of nobodies or a bunch of guys that have no chance. I mean, dude, he's at 168 pounds and fought one black guy in the last 5 years. Fought one black guy in the last 5 years at 168 pounds. You can't find nobody. You just go through a stretch of UK fighters and then get out of here, man. Seriously. The Charlos have a ton of excuses. The only problem I got with the Charlos is the Charlos not fighting Demetrius Andrade. That's it. But there you go with that one. It's like Ronnie Shields said. He's like, there's nothing to gain. Man, as a boxing fan, there's something to gain. God dog, as a boxing fan, there's something to gain from the fight. How about the boxing fans gain something from the fight? Try that one on for size, man. Don King, man, I miss Don King. Don King made fights, dude. Boxing was like they ran Don King out of boxing, and Don King was the only guy that I know of out of all these dudes that would actually make fights. People would talk about how he's stealing from the boxers and doing this, but you know what? With Don King, when Don King was airing fights, you got good fights out of Don King. Period. You would not, there weren't a bunch of boring cards where you didn't care about who was fighting, and maybe you see it, maybe you don't see it. But getting like it's just crap. Craig Bonnet said Mexico is running and ruining boxing, needs to be halted and put in check. Well, man, without a doubt, man. But it's, Terrell Boxing, man, holding down the chat today, said Alvarez knows he's on and off the juice. He said, yeah, Don King still works with Mahmoud Char and Tevin Bryant. Yeah, I mean, he's still in the sport, but he's not a dominant promoter in the sport. He's not a promoter in the sport. When he was there, though, the dude made really good fights. He had stacked cards with really good fighters, and he made the fights. When Bob Arum came, when Don King went away, Bob Arum came, and Bob Arum started playing games. And the PBC doesn't get along with Bob Arum. The PBC doesn't get along with Oscar De La Hoya, so they don't make the fights. And we're left with this. What we got in boxing, at least in this year, man. I mean, maybe I'll be a little more excited if they turn around and do something decent. But Andre Robinson said they said Don King was stealing from fighters, but Mike got paid in his prime. Yeah, but Don King, Don King ain't perfect now. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying Don King's some perfect angel, because Don King ain't no angel. That's for sure. I do think he was sticking it to people in their pocketbooks, making sure he got his money. I don't doubt that. But right now, the only people getting stuck in the pocket is boxing fans. That's it. And I guess networks that half believe in boxing, so they're kind of in and out on it. Like ESPN, that's just a sideshow for ESPN, the boxing program that on ESPN. It's not they don't feature it. They're not trying. They don't really stand behind the sport. You know what I mean? It's that they have fights on the network, and they'll publicize a fighter, and that fighter's on the network, but they're not really trying to give you any serious fights with it. But it is what it is with it. There's nothing. I mean, and I don't want to depress people about boxing, man. But right now, it's like, I get up and you do it, and it's like, man, the best thing about boxing is the conversations about boxing. I'm not, but it's honestly the best thing about boxing is Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. for me is the guy that is really fighting is the best guy out there as far as trying to make fights, man. Terrain Boxing giving $1 gazillion out there from wherever you are. He said, I'm going to still listen and support from 3,000 miles away. I definitely miss old days of real fights. Yes, sir. On Labor Day weekend too, man. Out here, man. I should have taken this morning off, man. Don King said, Don King may be somewhat corrupt, but he delivered what the fight fans wanted in great fights. Yeah. And they ran him out of the sport because he's a black dude that was doing it. Made him look, he is the face of boxing corruption. Don King. When I have never even heard of Don King doing anything like what Bob Arum has done. Bob Arum is the one that has all the crooked shit happening on his cards. But it was Don King that was the face of crookedness in boxing, because they sold that line about him. And I'm sure there were things that he was doing, and he had a criminal background, But Don King put in good fights, man. Don King was responsible for a lot of those heavyweight fights that happened between Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, and Lennox Lewis. Today, you know what the chances of you actually getting those fights are today? Seriously, like you getting those fights right now, that Eddie Hearn is full of it. Like Eddie Hearn is trying to, you saw what Eddie Hearn did with Anthony Joshua. Craig Bonet in the building, man. Much love in that super chat. He said, no one single entity is good for anything. Don King made good fights but didn't pay. Now they're paying and not fighting. I think Don King paid. Don King paid these fighters. Don King paid his fighters, his heavyweight fighters, more money than they're making now in the heavyweight division. Seriously. Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis made more money from Don King than Tyson Fury is getting paid from Bob Arum, and Anthony Joshua is getting paid from Eddie Hearn. Seriously, Don King paid them more money. Go look at the purses for the fights for the heavyweights that took place in the 1990s. They were paying more money back then. Seriously, they were paying more money back then. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is making more money in the early 2000s than fighters are making right now. Oscar De La Hoya was making more money. Oscar De La Hoya is making more money in the 2000s, in the early 2000s than fighters are making now. These fighters, there's a couple fighters that get on pay-per-view that are making big money like that. But these fighters are not making more money I'm talking about in actual dollars. In actual dollars. Evander Holyfield had $50 million fights. Anthony Joshua's not had a $50 million fight. He's not had that. The fights with Mike, they were bigger fights because they were fighting each other and and everybody knew that they were good fighters. Because Riddick Bowe fought Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson fought Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis fought Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield fought everybody. Yes, Evander from now. I can't say something about much love in that super chat, man. He said, man, my man Daniel Staley says, salute Fannon. As a boxing fan, I'm very disappointed. Man, I'm disgusted, honestly. Much love in that super chat. And my man Robert Jaramalo. Sorry about that, man. My internet went out, man. My bad. Sorry about that. Would be, man. I switched to Google Fiber and the internet still goes out. Crazy. But I'm on my way. Hey, thank goodness for what do you call it? That's crazy, man. How that thing went out like that. But anyway, let me get back to the super chat. Sorry about that. Robert Jeremiah said, Fannon, Spence isn't the only one trying to hold it down. Don't forget Benavidez. He's trying to fight white, black, or Mexicans. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I hope that he gets the fight. If he gets the fight, that'd be a great thing. If he doesn't get the fight, you know what it is. It's tough, man. Terry Schmoot says, Evander fought everyone and never failed a drug test. Yeah, exactly. Let the dude fight, man. But see, right now, man, that's the biggest problem in boxing. I'm telling you, is they need to get rid of some of these networks. I'm hoping a couple of these guys. He said, wow, you faded out, Fannon. Yeah, man. Sorry about that. Just disappeared. Hold on, let me catch up, man. It said, that's true. Boxing has always been corrupt to a certain degree. It's just sad to see any fighter being screwed on any level of competition. Yeah, and honestly, in something that is just so blatant like that, is something that is so blatant, is to let somebody fight on performance-enhancing drugs. I mean, it's like he's the home team or something. And the WBC is treating Mexican fighters like they're the home team. And that's not what you're supposed to do, man. But what they do is what they do, man. Gold Wayne Chronicles said, I dropped the bag on King Wilder stopping the Gypsy Queen. Can't hardly wait for the night of redemption, man. I can't, man. You know how happy I'd be if he wins that fight, man? Absolutely ecstatic, man, because that would be what's right in boxing, and guys that are cheating getting caught for doing it and getting punished. But they wanted to have their payday, man. So they were like, no, we're not giving up this money. We've lost too many fights. I guess Top Rank lost a lot. Top Rank must have lost some money when your boy got stuck. Said on my own cause Don Fighter, he got said on own cause. Oh, my own cuz was a Don King fighter. Got paid $3,000 for 4 fights as a journeyman heavyweight. There you go. I'm telling you, he paid more money. The problem is, man, I think that but if you take cash advances and you're doing them, and you don't know how to manage your money and all that stuff, you can lose your money. And I'm not saying that he didn't get over on people or people didn't get bad deals from Don King, but Don King was paying more money than they're paid right now. The fighters aren't earning as much money as they were earning then, but they don't deserve the money because they're not fighting. Some of I think the welterweights deserve the money, right? But honestly, man, they're not, and the networks are paying the money. So the networks don't have any reason to sell the fighter to anybody because they just sell them to the network. Boxing regular fan JG said, boxing golden era, nobody duck nobody. Leonard, Duran, Hearns, Trinidad, Arguello, Gomez, Sanchez, even De La Hoya never ducked anybody. Let me go on that De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya is making all these dudes look bad. Because Oscar De La Hoya did better. Oscar De La Hoya fought everybody, man. And I had issues with Oscar De La Hoya. I miss Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya looks like, man, Oscar De La Hoya makes all these dudes look bad. From being in the position that he was in and taking the fights that he took. He took fights against everybody, man. D'Avion Bible in that super chat, man. Much love, man. Says, salute, Mr. Martin. In your opinion, what are the 3 major changes that should happen in order to put boxing in a better position? Get rid of, oh my God, man. Get rid of at least 2 networks. Get ESPN out of boxing, and get DAZN out of boxing. If ESPN is out of boxing and DAZN's out of boxing, I think that would, out of American boxing, that would at least force there to be more talent in a certain network. The other thing is better federal regulation of the sport. Clearly better federal regulation of the sport. And I think, it's just, man, my man said bring back Jim Lampley. God dang. Bring back Jim Lampley and these guys, man. God, dog, get rid of the Floyd Mayweather mentality. Get rid of it. Look, don't get me wrong. My man Torian Boxy said Wilder has to destroy him to get the W. You got that right. Much love in that super chat. Look, the one thing that could happen is get rid of Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s mentality and just get rid of it. Seriously, this matchmaking of these fighters and protecting these fighters is ridiculous. It's so over the top, man. You can't tell me you can't find a black fighter for Gervonta Davis to fight. You can't tell me that, man. He's had a whole career and hasn't fought a black fighter. It's a kid out of Baltimore and has not fought a black fighter yet. Come on, man. Are you serious? Will you stop overdoing it and put that kid in there with somebody? And if he loses, he loses. You know what I mean? Gamble. They don't want to gamble. They just want to collect the money. We ain't gambling. We're trying to make as big a fight as we can and not have him fight nobody. But you just cannot tell me that you can go that long and not fight a black fighter, man. And you're not trying to avoid him. Somebody out there you could have fought, man. Somebody out there. I mean, the closest thing he got is is a used up Yuriokas Gamboa. Man, and honestly, man, I don't see him doing it. I don't see him fighting anybody difficult until his career is over, man. I see him seriously milking it. Them milking Gervonta Davis. They milking it all the way, dude. And it's that mentality's got to go, man. Because there could be a lot of really good fights if these guys would fight it. I mean, at lightweight alone, look at how many good fights there are at lightweight alone, and you know full well these guys ain't going to take those fights. It's just... Fim Sator said, facts, Oscar was once my favorite fighter. I didn't like Oscar. I didn't like Oscar De La Hoya. But I will tell you what, I didn't like Oscar De La Hoya because he was fighting guys that I liked. You know what I mean? He fought Shane Mosley multiple times. He fought Felix Trinidad. He fought Bernard Hopkins. He fought Ike Corte. He fought Pernell Whitaker. He fought Julio Cesar Chavez. I mean, it's hard to find somebody that Oscar De La Hoya didn't fight. You know what I mean? And the same thing holds true about like Tito Trinidad and Winky Wright and Bernard Hopkins. Man, what's going on, CRB1? Man, I ain't seen you in a minute. He said, I've been saying for years, if there are only 1 to 2 fight networks, fights are easier to make. British fans think I'm hating on Eddie Hearn by saying that. It's the truth, and they can get out of here. They suck. Like, much love in that super chat. Dude, that's the truth. Get rid of them. With 2 networks, you got a better chance of making fights because there's fewer places for them to go. Eddie Hearn, will you please... Eddie Hearn, you're doing a great job over there in the UK. Stay your ass over there in the UK and do fights in the UK and leave fights in the United States to American promoters, and never the twain shall meet. Bring a fighter over here if they're going to actually fight somebody. But other than that, go away. When he started bringing people over, he started bringing over people. At the zone, they started bringing over a bunch of no-name UK fighters to fight in the US. What do we need that for? Robert Jarmello said they are scared to get a loss and get cast out like Thurman. 1 loss, now he's in Siberia. Yeah, and that's a little bit of Keith Thurman's making with Keith Thurman's mouth. But I think Keith Thurman could be getting fights. Keith Thurman don't want those fights. Keith Thurman don't want the fights. That's what I think. I don't know, man. Keith Thurman seems to me like he's being mighty particular. You've not fought in 2 years, man. You're gonna have to fight at 154, or you're gonna be drained, at 175. But as far as Eddie Hearn and all that stuff goes, man, CRB1 in that super chat, he said the same British fans salute the UFC, and I say to them, you know why and how UFC works, because all the major fighters are on the same networks. Exactly. They're on the same network. They have to fight. If you're on the same network, the network only has certain slots. They're going to put the better fighters in there against each other. You're going to get upsets. You're going to get things like that to happen. You get upsets, you get rematches. When you get upsets, you get rematches, you get multiple good fights. Seriously, as ridiculous as Deontay Wilder's cheating was, as Tyson Fury's cheating was in that fight, at least we're getting multiple fights out of it. Right? We've gotten 3 fights out of Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. What's his name? Teofimo Lopez doesn't want to give Vasily Lomachenko a rematch. Like, why not, man? What do you have to do that's better? Like, you ain't got nothing better to do than fighting Vasily Lomachenko in a rematch. Seriously. Nothing better to do. What, are you going to make more money in some other fight? No. Is there some better fight? Is there some better fight that's on the horizon for you? No. So why don't you just take the fight, man? Because he don't want to lose. Because he doesn't want to lose. Bearcat Hansen said, hopefully Thurman and Ugas happen so Spence is forced to fight Thurman. Wow, that's weird. That's an interesting. Thurman and Ugas ain't going to happen over Errol Spence and him. You know what I mean? Kambosos is better than Lomachenko. Yeah, exactly. Right. I like that. Yeah, bug your eyes out on that one. Like, you know what I mean? If those fights, if they happen If they happen because they're mandated and he's a number one challenger, I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? I'm cool with them having with mandatories and all that. But if you're gonna have, but when you have your voluntary, man, make it a good voluntary. You know, make it something that is worth watching. I'm sorry, I'm on Gervonta Davis though in this Mayweather stuff because as I figure it, Mayweather's behind a lot of this Jake Paul stuff. You know what I mean? Mayweather is intimately involved in this Jake Paul shenanigans, and he's got Gervonta Tank Davis in that, and hit the guys that he's fighting is nobody, a bunch of people that I don't care to see him fight. You know, I mean, really, who cares about Mario Barrios unless you actually just want to follow Gervonta Tank Davis and you happen to be a fan of Gervonta Tank Davis. Did you see Gervonta Tank Davis? They said Gervonta Tank Davis is the third most marketable fighter in all of boxing, or at like the 89th most marketable box. Like, man, they got some, what they talk about. How about he fight somebody, market him in the ring? You know what I mean? Teofimo Lopez versus Devin Haney is a bigger fight than Loma. How you figure that? How is that a bigger fight? I don't get that. It's a good fight that I want to see. I don't care if it's bigger, but here you go. JB, the boxing fanatic. I don't care if it's bigger. Okay. Is it a better fight? It's a good fight that should be made. It's a good fight that I'll take without a doubt. Whether it's not a bigger fight though. It's not a bigger fight. But even if it was a bigger fight, I don't care. It's a good fight that should happen. Why do you keep blaming Floyd for everything? I'm blaming Floyd for the shit Floyd does. Dude, you know Floyd getting over. Stop it. Do not act like you don't know Floyd Mayweather Jr. That Floyd Mayweather Jr. has got a system in place. Okay? He's working with Jake Paul and Logan Paul in promoting those fights. He fought Logan Paul, okay? He got in the ring with Logan Paul. That is helping sell that fight. That he is part of that, okay? And intimately part of it. And Gervonta Davis isn't fighting black fighters. Can you somebody name a black fighter that Gervonta Davis fought, please? Name one. Seriously, man, I'm out here working on Labor Day, okay? I'm out here on Labor Day talking boxing with you. Tell me, when? When has he fought a black fighter? Can anybody name a black fighter that Gervonta Davis has fought? I would love to hear it. And do not, other than Yuriorkis Gamboa. I'll be waiting for a very long time for you to answer that question. Because the answer to that is Gamboa don't count. Gamboa, the Cuban, okay. A black American fighter. I'll make it a little difficult, but I said besides Gamboa. Because you know Gamboa got the Latino. That's a Spanish speaking. I'm talking about a black dude. I'm talking about somebody from Chicago, somebody from LA, somebody from Detroit, somebody from Baltimore, somebody from New Jersey. Somebody like that. Then let me ask you a question after that. When is the last time you saw Gervonta Davis fight somebody that had a rat's chance of beating him? I think his best fight is Leo Santa Cruz, honestly. And he came through, but dude, get out of here. That's a different thing for me saying I don't think he can beat him. I think he could beat him. I think he can beat him. But no, the most exciting fight the highest risk fight that I've seen for Gervonta Davis was the sparring match with Teofimo Lopez. Mr. Mackey said, Baltimore in the building, baby. You know it. When he fighting somebody from Baltimore? I mean, you can go all around the world and not fight somebody right next door to you. None of the Jersey fighters. He can't fight nobody from Jersey. He can't fight anybody from D.C. Don't you see? Don't you see? Don't you think that maybe, just maybe, he's ducking some smoke, and their fighters are there, by the way, and the fighters are there. He said, Fannon, Gary Russell been calling takeout for years, and they don't want no parts because that is a fight that he can lose. So don't tell me that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is not matchmaking. When when Mayweather Promotions first started, he used to believe in having tough fighters fight tough fighters until his fighters lost. He would make fights where his fighters would get in there. What was the name of that champion that he had that went around that wound up fighting and training Devin Haney? He had a champion that wound up losing. But after his fighters started losing, dude, he stopped putting people in deep. And that's just the truth. He stopped putting people in deep. And Gervonta Davis is not getting into deep water. And it's what it is. And do I blame him for it? Absolutely, I'd blame him for it because I'd like to see the fights very much. I mean, you're going to have a whole generation of fighters go by and none of them fought each other. It's going to be ridiculous. I mean, seriously, if you go 10 years from now, if they don't change their way, you will have gone through all of these guys' careers and none of them would have fought each other. Whole careers, nobody would have fought each other. The way that they're going about now. Why would Floyd not be matchmaking? I don't know. Over matchmaking. You got to matchmake. But why wouldn't he? I don't know. To give fans good fights. I don't know. Maybe to see the best, maybe so his guy can prove that he's the best fighter. I don't know. Why didn't Muhammad Ali matchmake? Why didn't Muhammad Ali matchmake like that? Why didn't he do it? Why didn't Sugar Ray Robinson matchmake like that? Oh, I forgot. They didn't have a choice. They had to fight whoever the hell they could get in. They had to fight. Black fighters fought whoever the hell they had to get in the ring with. They weren't protected by their promoter like that. They got put out there hard. They got put out there and had to fight the best fighters. So I guess, yeah, it's different times. You're making excuses. It's bullshit. That's BS. It's different times. It's a different person is what it is. Because Errol Spence Jr. is not doing that. Errol Spence isn't doing that. Errol Spence Jr. is fighting the best guys in his division. That's not different times. That's a different person making different decisions and getting over on boxing fans because that's what they're doing. They're getting over on boxing fans. You're selling it as one thing and doing something else. Same thing as Anthony Josh. Same thing with Anthony Joshua and them heavyweights. Man, get out of here, man. How are you going to duck somebody with an eye injury? But no, man, it is what it is, man. You can call it what you want and justify it. You can justify it, but it is what it is. It's a different person making different decisions. There's nothing prohibiting him from making these guys from saying, let's fight in a boxing. Let's fight each other for real. But you got Teofimo Lopez being a prima donna. You got, come on. I can understand Ryan Garcia not fighting him. He ain't ready. But when these fighters are ready, you're supposed to be ready and supposed to fight guys. I ain't buying that stuff. Honestly. Ali fought Frazier after 4 years and training only 90 days. Lost, didn't miss a beat. You're only the best if you keep beating the best. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I'm not that big a Floyd Mayweather Jr. fan where I'm just going to be happy for the success of Mayweather Promotions. Like, yay, Mayweather Promotions is better than Top Rank. What good does that do? Honestly, dude, Top Rank there wasn't what? Really? There about wasn't what? Except for Top Rank is probably associated with better fights. At least Top Rank had something to do with Wilder Fury. You know what I mean? At least they had that. Top Rank, I'm going to put it this way. If Top Rank has 2 fighters in-house, and it ain't a black fighter, they'll have them fight at least. At least they'll fight. So I just don't want to hear it, man. That's a whole lot of excuse making. So I'm saying Ryan got to pass this. Ryan ain't ready. Ryan Garcia is not ready. Ryan Garcia is a prospect. Ryan Garcia had his first step-up fight. Teofimo Lopez is a champion. And then fuck that. And seriously, skip that. I'm going to tell you, you think Ryan Garcia, Marvin Banks, do you know boxing? Do you seriously think Ryan Garcia is in the same developmental stage as that Gervonta Davis is? Gervonta Davis was a champion at 130. He was a champion at 135. He's a champion at 140. Ryan Garcia has not even had a championship fight yet. Ryan Garcia has had one step-up fight against Luke Campbell. One. One. I don't know. Marvin Banks, I know you know boxing. Forgive me for saying, do you know boxing? Forgive me for that. But I'm saying you do know the difference between Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia, right? You know the difference between Errol Spence Jr., right? Between an Errol Spence Jr. and a Virgil Ortiz, right? There's stages in people's... Am I muted? Somebody let me know if I'm muted. Because I don't think that I'm muted. Let me know if I was muted. But yeah, thanks. There's different stages. And that's what I mean by Ryan Garcia. I don't think if they put Ryan Garcia right in with Gervonta Davis without giving him an opportunity to become thank you very much, man. Without giving him an opportunity to become a better fighter, then I would think that they were being irresponsible. But once you get to the point where you're one of the best fighters and you're recognized as one of the best fighters, then I think that you should absolutely fight the best fighters. And you shouldn't get passes for not fighting the best fighters. Just like Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez should not get any passes for not fighting Jermall Charlo. That I don't care about what weight division they're currently in. I don't care about any of that. If he's going to go his whole career without fighting Jermall Charlo, he's going to go his whole career without fighting Demetrius Andrade. And those are the two fighters in his same weight class that were the biggest threats to him. But yet he's going to go up and fight a bunch of guys like Liam Smith, Liam Callum, Yaldemir, a washed up Sergey Kovalev, and going to keep running those guy after guy after guy, but yet still have people talk about he's the face of boxing. What you're doing is you're holding boxing captive. Is the sense that I get, that you're holding it captive because you won't if you're not sure that you're the best, you'll try to shut up a situation where somebody can prove that they're the best. Because the fact of the matter is that some of these guys may beat them, man. Ain't none of these fighters, won't fight David Benavidez either. None of these guys are invincible fighters, man. None of them. None of these guys are people that you can get that there's nobody in the world that can beat. They can beat them. He can never beat them, so let's not have the fight. That's just not nonsense, man. It's just nonsense. If you're the best, then you still got to fight somebody. You still have to fight somebody, unless you're going to retire. If you think you're the best and nobody can beat you, then retire. But don't say, I know I can beat him, so I'm going to fight somebody worse than him. Tank versus Mikey Garcia would be interesting. Battle of the Mighty Mice. Yeah, I think that would be a good fight. Would love to see the fight, but why? But he can't have that fight. We can't have that fight though, because he's not big enough. That's not big enough a fight. Sorry, you can't have that fight. Mikey versus Tank. Sorry, you can't have that fight. Tank versus Gervonta Davis. Sorry, you can't have that fight. Tank versus Chris Colbert. Sorry, you can't have that fight. Tank versus Teofimo Lopez. Sorry, you can't have that fight. Tank versus Oscar Escadon. Oh, yeah, you can have that fight. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you can have that fight. Some fantasy conversation about Tank versus Keith Thurman. Yeah, you can have that fight. Yeah, we can talk about that fight. We can talk about the fight, but we can't have a fight. It's boxing. It's the business of boxing. I'm sorry. And, we're not going to do that because we need 10 fights. We're going to get 10 fights out of Tank. And that's it, because that's how much money we invested. That's what we're going to get. And you guys are going to sit there and you're going to take it and you're going to cheer for Tank while Tank does okay numbers. Because truth be told, none of these guys are doing the numbers that they were doing on pay-per-view when fighters were fighting each other. And you had legitimate challenges. Seriously, the most intriguing fight that happened, the biggest intrigue in boxing this year is probably your Danny Zugas beating Manny Pacquiao, because nobody saw that coming, right? Nobody in the mainstream press saw that coming. At least I don't know why people didn't see it coming. They were sitting there acting like Manny Pacquiao wasn't 42 years old. But we can't have. That's what they're trying to actively avoid. They're trying to make sure that those type of things do not happen, that you do not get a situation where your Danny Zugas beats a Manny Pacquiao. Because now, the gravy train's over. Because Manny Pacquiao gravy train's over. So that's why you shouldn't have fought him. If you wouldn't have fought him, you'd still be able to have more fights. And that's the economy. That's the economy of boxing. The promoters want to get a certain number of fights out of their fighters. And if you guys are going to go along with it with all the other stuff, but don't get me wrong. I like Tank. As a fighter, I like Tank a lot. And I think Tank beats everybody at 135. And I would love to fight him. But can you get Tank Lomachenko? No. Seriously. And I'm asking you as a Gervonta Tank Davis fan, because I know there's Gervonta Tank Davis fans out there. I'm separating the fighter himself from the situation. And I'm asking you honestly, do you think that there can be a fight between Tank Davis and Vasily Lomachenko? These are two boxers. They're both trained combatants. They're in the same sport, in the same weight class. Do you think you can get that fight? Put a 1 in the chat if you think you can get that fight. Very seriously, I'm asking you. Put a 1 in the chat if you think you can get that fight. And if you say 1, I know you lying. Okay? If you say 1, I know you're lying. And what good reason is there? What good reason? No good reason. Nothing that has anything to do with being a boxing fan. There's no real reason that has anything to do with being a boxing fan for why that fight wouldn't happen. And exactly, highly unlikely too. So here you go. Let's go to the next guy. Gervonta Tank Davis versus Teofimo Lopez. Do you think you're going to get that fight? I don't even blame Bob Arum. It could be Bob. It could be Floyd. It could be Floyd. Do you think Floyd would make the fight? Leave Bob Arum out of it. In my hypothesis, Bob Arum's not involved. Take Bob Arum out of it. Do you think that fight's going to happen for Tank? And I'm asking Tank fans, take away Bob Arum and say Bob Arum ain't got nothing to do with it. Do you think Floyd Mayweather Jr. is going to make a fight between Gervonta Tank Davis and Teofimo Lopez? And the answer is no. Okay? Now, do you think he would make a fight between Devin Haney? He already know the answer to that one because Floyd Mayweather Jr. said no. He's not making a fight between Devin Haney and you know what you will see first? You will see Tank Davis. You would see, left up to Floyd Mayweather, you would see Tank Davis versus a YouTuber before you would see Tank Davis fighting Teofimo Lopez. And that is my honest opinion. You would see Tank Davis. You would see Tank Davis fighting a YouTuber. Fighting a YouTuber before you see that fight get made. Now, that was a quicker one. You know what it is? It's Labor Day, so not a lot of people are hot on box. There's a lot of people on the internet this morning, so that's probably shutting down the system. Terry Schmoot said Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia then, right? He's a YouTuber. Exactly. I think you'll see that first because they don't have any intention on doing it. I'm telling you, you can hear it in what they say and you can see it in what they do. They have no interest in putting Gervonta Tank Davis in a tough fight, period. Gervonta Tank Davis is going to go 50-0 with 50 knockouts. I really think that is the most realistic plan based on what I see them do. That is the most realistic thing that I can say, okay, maybe they're trying to do that. Maybe what they're trying to do is make Gervonta Davis get to 50-0 with 50 knockouts and see if he can just get through skipping through a bunch of people and seeing how long people are going to buy that. Because by the time Floyd Mayweather Jr. probably already fought Jose Luis Castillo by the time he got to where Gervonta Davis is. They're not trying to make fights like that, man. You know? Terrence Moose, exactly, say 50-0 with 50 KOs and Hugo Ruiz and Santillions. Exactly. That's what they're trying to do, man. And then you got other guys trying to do the same thing. Like, hey, man, why get in these really big, hard fights when you can just con the fans and we can keep getting easy fights? And these are fighters. You know what I'm saying? These are fighters, man. Anyway, this has my take. Johnny True Blue 45 Stanley said, I think Floyd is going to start making harder fights for Tank. It's time. You want the name and the shine. He's going to have to fight tough fights. Yeah, but I don't think so. I'm telling you, I hear it in Leonard Ellerbe. I hear it. I hear it from Leonard Ellerbe. I hear it from Leonard Ellerbe. Yeah. Wilder fought cans too. Man, Wilder, that's apples and oranges, man. You have guys that are going to fight tomato cans because they can't get the fight. But Deontay Wilder was not somebody that had the ability to pick the guys that he wants to fight. Whenever Deontay Wilder had the ability to pick who he wanted to fight, he picked somebody that was a tough fighter. He picked Luis Ortiz. He's not in the position to pick Anthony Joshua. But the people that he picked was Luis Ortiz and Tyson Fury, two of the top five heavyweights. I'm sorry, man. And I know you're going to go, you're hating on Tank. I'm watching what they're doing. And that is what Leonard Ellerbe says out of his own mouth. He's not playing with it. He's telling you straight to your face what he's doing. And people are acting like that's not the case. That's the case. Leonard Ellerbe said, we're trying to make the biggest fights possible. The biggest. He didn't say they're trying to make the best. They're trying to make the best. They're trying to make the biggest. They are most interested in. They're most interested in trying to have the biggest money fights at the time that you can have it. Okay? And continually doing that. They're not interested in having him prove that he is the best fighter. That's why he said the biggest fights, not the best fights. If he was trying to make the best fights out there, the best fights aren't necessarily the biggest fights. Some of the best fights are not big fights. Some of the best fights are smaller fights. Like, for example, Terrence Crawford versus Keith Thurman. Terrence Crawford versus Sean Porter. That is an example of one of the best fights that isn't one of the biggest fights. Canelo Alvarez versus Jamal Charlo is one of the best fights that you can make. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the best fights that you can make. But if you figure, I can make a fight and come up with some clickbait accolade for somebody. This is him moving up and conquering another weight class. I'm now a champion in four weight divisions. So you're not selling how good the fight is. You're talking about some accolade, right? Some accomplishment, like how they tried to sell the accomplishments for Canelo Alvarez, man. Seriously, man, I'm not buying it, dude. I'm not buying it, man. Dion Fowl said Wilder's about to end Fury's career on October 9th. Man, I certainly hope he knocks that dude out, man. Mark Hatch said Ortiz was 40 already when Wilder fought him, though Fury and AJ are on another level compared to Wilder. No, they're not. They're all on the same level. They're the top 3, top 4 heavyweights. That is not another level. They're the top level. That's it. There's no different level. Okay? Once you're a top heavyweight, you're a top heavyweight. You're on that level. Okay? He is on the world-class level. There are world-class level fighters. Tyson Fury can be if you thought Tyson Fury is the best fighter in the world, fine. You think he's the best heavyweight. He's still got to fight somebody. You see what I'm saying? He still has to fight somebody. If he's not fighting somebody, It takes two fighters to fight, and you're making excuses for him. Robert Jamillo said, "You think Ruiz Wilder would be an entertaining?" Yeah, absolutely. Much love in that super chat. I think it'd be a very entertaining fight. Absolutely, a very entertaining fight. Entertaining fight during which Andy Ruiz gets laid out, without a doubt. You know what I'm saying? Andrew Gray is now boxing has been exposed now to WWE. Hey man, no joke. I can't even argue. I can't even argue with that. The WBC is the WWE. The WBC has been exposed. Boxing has not been exposed. The WBC has been exposed. They're the WWE. They're the make-believe, we're going to do whatever we got to do, and we just don't care organization. Seriously, man. They're Tank is a B-class fight anyway. You think, nah, man, Tank can fight, man. Tank's a top dude. I think Tank's a top lightweight. But, you know, he'd have to prove it first. You know what I mean? He'd have to, I mean, I can understand why people would say Tank still has to prove it. You know what I mean? Before they say he is. But, man, you know, it is what it is, man. Andrew Gray said, I'm a little bit back in the chat. This whole thing's effed up. Just move up to the end, man. You just push the thing and roll to where we are. And then go back and see it, man. That's me said, anything under 140, Tank is a king. Y'all are tripping. Oh, look, man. Underneath he could be. But he's got to fight. Who is he? Hey, that's me. Ask a question. Who is the best fighter that he's fought to prove that? Has he fought anybody that's better than Teofimo Lopez? That's me. Has he fought anybody better than Teofimo Lopez or Vasily Lomachenko? That Jax Record said, Fannon, I like the way you explain the truth, sir. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. And much love in that chat, man. Thank you. And thank you so much to everybody that supports in the channel. But seriously, man. Mario Barrios. Sorry. You think that Mario Barrios is better than Vasily Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez? You're a Tank fan, my friend. You're a Tank fan. Now, I appreciate you being a Tank fan, but you're being a Tank fan there. Mario Barrios is not Teofimo Lopez, man. No, he is not. And he is definitely not Vasily Lomachenko. Mario Barrios is not Devin Haney. Okay? He is a good fighter. He is a good fighter. He may be a top 6 140 pounder. The best fighter at 140 pound is Josh Taylor. You have Regis Prograis. You've got Mikey Garcia. You've got Jose Ramirez. Those are the 140 pounders that are legitimate, top-notch 140 pounders. Those are the top guys. Short of that, friend, no. As for a secondary belt, and Gervonta Tank Davis is not going to be staying up there at that weight class, man. He's going to be back down there at 135 pounds. So I can appreciate that you like Tank, and I do believe that Tank can beat anybody in that division, but you can't say, I don't believe that you can say, and hell no, he isn't. You know what I'm saying? Hell no, he ain't better than Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez is getting Mario Barrios out of there, just like Gervonta Tank Davis got Mario Barrios out there, man. Without a doubt, man, in my mind. Mark Hatch, you here for the I gotta commend you, Mark Hatch. You in here for the Tyson Fury stuff. I get you on this, man. Mrs. Put two together. Salute for now. Good to see you back live regularly. My husband, Big Block, has me watching you. Good topics and great conversation. Thank you, man. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that you say that. Yeah, absolutely back doing it regularly. Every Monday through pretty much every day, man. We do these conversations, man. I love boxing. But look, I'm going to get off of here. Thank you guys so much for coming by the chat this morning. Much love to everybody in the chat, everybody in the super chat. We'll be back tomorrow for another live stream. And with that, I'm out. Peace.